In this video, we're going to talk about some instances when cops were wrong and got embarrassed by their supervisors. Let's jump right in. So these cops were called because this guy was allegedly standing on someone else's property. They approached the guy and told him that, but they certainly didn't expect to be lectured by the guy who definitely knows a thing or two about the law.
Good, man.
So what are we doing out here today?
Baking a cake.
Hold on. Well, they don't want you on the property.
When we get on their property, then they got problems. But
So first, he told them that he was standing on a public easement, but they were obviously in the mood for arguing. They asked him to give them his ID, but the guy just refused, despite the fact that he has his ID with him.
easement. You already know, before you go any further, I know what I'm doing. Right?
Sure.
This is an easement. I got a map in my pocket, so don't do nothing stupid.
Okay. This is what we're gonna do. You got a what? So you got
I got a map that shows where their property's at, so don't do nothing stupid, because that'll be bad.
He didn't want to give them his ID because he didn't commit any crime. After a while, he asked them to call their supervisor, but they just ignored his request, knowing full well that their supervisor was gonna embarrass them by telling them that this guy was right.
I just hate when they're trying to come out and let this guy right here trying to bully somebody off of a freaking easement. Telling me this is their property, knowing good and well it's not.
Well, he's just trying to figure out what you got to film.
It don't matter what we filming for, as long as we're not breaking the law.
He kept lecturing those two cops as well as others who were nearby. In the end, they all still refused to call the supervisor, but they had to let the guy go, basically admitting that he was right the whole time.
Until he got all aggressive with me, and I told him to do his own investigation. He already should know this was the easement, man. If he don't, he does now. And that's why we out here. We're trying to educate. We're trying to educate people, especially officers, especially this guy right here.
Trying to educate.
Well, I just educated him.
So a man was just taking some pictures from the public sidewalk when a cop approached him rather aggressively, asked him not to do that, and said that it was in fact a restricted area.
I'm just taking some photograph from the public sidewalk.
No, you're not. This is a restricted area. There's no
Okay,
photography
can you
over
give me
here.
my space, please? I'm just taking some pictures, sir.
You're not allowed to.
This is a lawfully protected activity, sir. Do you know that we have
This is a secure area. You're not supposed to be taking photos over here.
The man asked him to step away and to give him some space. He then tried to de-escalate the situation by explaining very calmly that he was doing a little story, but the cop was having none of that, and he kept coming really close to the guy who once again asked him to give him some space.
You're more than welcome to film the other parts of the building. This area right here is a secure area where prisoners are brought in.
I am,
12 on the way out there, Dave.
Okay?
and I understand, sir. I'm not, like I said, I have no ill will.
I know.
I'm just
letting
working
you
on a
know.
little
I'm just
story.
letting you know.
When the man realized that this cop couldn't understand a thing about First Amendment protected activities, he asked for a supervisor. They kept arguing some more until finally the supervisor arrived. The man explained everything to him as well and also mentioned the DHS memo.
Gentleman over here, what's your name? 8066 is not allowing me to.
I'll call, what's his name, Steve? Let me call the captain. We're gonna have to wait at the front of the building.
Okay, well-
Film outside here.
Well, sir, that's exactly what I'm trying to explain to him. This is a public accessible area. You guys have private area behind those fences, but this is public right here. So he cannot tell me that I cannot record this area. I'm working on a story. And I don't know if you're aware about the DHS memo. The Department of Homeland Security issued a memo in 2018 that explains how you're supposed to approach me in an incident.
The supervisor then just told him not to come close to the gate and that he was allowed to film on the sidewalk. In the end, the cop had no other choice but to do the walk of shame. I guess someone is gonna get into real trouble for not respecting constitutional rights of citizens. So this fellow was taking pictures of a police department, or more specifically, a police parking lot, when a cop approached him and asked him why he was doing that.
How are you? Excuse me, sir. What are you doing? Hey. Hey.
The guy completely ignored him and kept filming everything. The cop lost his patience and put the guy in handcuffs, which is why the guy asked for his supervisor. He also said to the cop that he was illegally detaining him.
You're going to be put in cuffs.
Supervisor.
Okay, supervisor's on his way. Okay? I'm asking you questions
Hey
here.
guys, I'm being arrested right now, being put in cuffs for taking pictures of the police department. Don't turn my phone off.
Okay.
While they were waiting for a supervisor, the guy was trying to educate this ignorant cop by saying that he has to be suspected of a crime in order for him to be put in handcuffs. The cop knew that he was in the wrong here and said that he wasn't going to talk to him until the supervisor arrived. He probably thought that his supervisor was going to back him up, but that's not what happened at all.
Being detained right now.
For what? For what crime?
No, it's reasonable suspicion.
Of what crime?
Okay.
You have to have reasonable suspicion of a crime to detain somebody.
I am not going to speak to you.
That's
You can
fine.
speak to my supervisor when he gets
You
here.
have me in cuffs right now.
Okay, yeah. You're
So I'm
being
gonna
detained
talk
at the moment. Yeah.
Because you're an ignorant asshole.
Quite the contrary, actually. After the cop explained to the supervisor what the guy was doing, the supervisor said that he had every right to record and told the cop to uncuff the guy. Now that was a perfect example of a cop being owned and embarrassed by his supervisor.
Uncuff him.
I'd like to file a complaint against this officer right now. Uncuff him. I did nothing wrong. I was not breaking the law, and this officer just illegally detained me under CRS 16301.
When the supervisor approached him, the guy told him that he was going to file a complaint against the cop who illegally detained him. Know your rights.
It'll be dealt with depending on what.
Okay, so is there going to be any issue with me getting his body cam information?
That you would have to go through our records division.
Yep.
I'm not sure how that works.
Hey guys, call Pueblo Police Department and complain about Officer Romero, badge number 0706. He just detained me and said that he was detaining me because I chose not to answer his question.
I'm not really sure on how that works. I have to look at the policy on that.
Okay.
I believe that there's a charge. Here's Sergeant Reyes. He's the supervisor on the watch commander.
All right, thank you.
And he might know. I'm not sure how that works. Maybe I can make a phone call and find out.
I think I'd appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're good. I'm gonna go home now.
Yep.
Yeah, you can go home.